Hare Krishna. Welcome to our channel. Bhagavad-gita, here it is, because we have it. Bhagavad-gita, as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Bhagavad-gita. We're in the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge. So, yes, we are very serious. We want to develop spiritual life, and we don't just want to scratch the surface. So here we go a little bit deeper. Text 13. Mahatmanas mang paritha daiving prakritimashritah bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, that's another name for Arjuna, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Purport. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. And how is this affected? That is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula. Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Daivi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of great soul, Mahatma. Yes. Many things in here. But I find it very interesting. In this world, we're under a certain energy, and in general that is the material energy. The material energy makes it seem that this word is all in all, that our effort is the main thing that affects us and things around us, that our desires for ourselves are the top priority, and the spiritual dimension is covered. We don't see it, we don't notice it. And this material nature also doesn't just present us with a picture, but it's actually 3 modes of material nature guides our every activity, and we don't even see it. It's like fish in water. Apparently they don't see the water. We see everything as our free will, and it's very interesting because that's always a philosophical discussion, isn't it? Do we have free will, or is everything predestined? We do have free will up to a point, but depending on how we use that free will, the results of it, we can't avoid them. It's like if we get on a plane, and if halfway through our destination we change our mind, we can't jump out. So if we start up like a track of activity or a certain mentality in this world, and we perform our activities in that way, we see the world in that way, then we will get a certain karma, and we will also develop in that direction. Like this, it's like also with association, the people you spend time with, you start to think in the same way, you start to be affected in the same way. We see that. It's interesting. Nowadays, there apparently is a polarization and a radicalization, and they say that people end up in a little bit of a bubble, and then everything around them reinforces the way they are thinking. And then you come from the outside and you don't understand why they can't just all get along. If you see that there are many sites in this world, there are deep conflicts that have been there for generations. And then you come from the outside and say, well, can't they just get along? And they can't, because it's so ingrained in how they've been taught to think, how everybody around them talks and thinks, and also there are power structures, there are all kinds of things. You can't just say, Let's all get along. And at home you don't notice it, because there we get a little home blind and think, oh, this is just normal. So in this material world it's like that. We enter into it, and depending on our activities, we will be given bodies that correspond to those activities. And within those bodies, it's like you say, I have free will. I can go out and eat whatever I want. Especially if you're vegetarian, people say that all the time. Well, I will eat whatever I want. But actually, after this life, depending on a person's karma, they may be born in another species. Like a human being, yes, we have a certain choice. We can be vegetarians or not. But if you take birth in the body of a horse, there is no choice. You have to eat that specific food that's meant for you. If you take birth as a tiger, there is no choice. So there is choice, but it's always so easy to be influenced in one direction or the other. So the main choice we have here is, are we going to take shelter of Krishna's spiritual energy, or are we going to avoid him? And since we are tiny little spirit souls, we are not independent. Like, we look around and we think we're so independent in this world. But whatever structure we're in, if we were alone in it, very, very few people can live completely alone. Because even what are you going to eat and where are you going to live? And there are a few, maybe they can go out in the forest and build some kind of shelter and live from what nature gives. Most of us, we can't. Especially in this, we think that in the modern society we're more independent, we're more individualistic, we're more, not pressured by the group. And then we're looking at different, more traditional societies where the individual is not the main focus, but the group is more the focus. And we think, we don't need that, we're so independent. But if you live in the city and the electricity goes out, then you won't be able to eat, you won't be able to drink. You won't even be able to go to the toilet for very long, because there won't be any new water coming up to flush it all out. We're so dependent. And in this world, the same thing is true. We don't notice the laws of nature so much, but we're always dependent on them. On the other hand, this energy is Krishna's. And if we turn to Krishna's, we'll be under his energy, and then we will no longer be forced into our activities, into our next bodies, into our next life. And it's just a new way of looking at it. And it may sound a little unusual, because we still see the persons who are taking shelter of God. They will still go to work, they will still take care of their family. Yes, there's no problem, we can do that. But this material world is built up in a kind of mechanistic way. Not exactly. I mean, it's not built out of nuts and bolts like that, but it's structured by laws, and our activities and our consciousness will take us to the next body. But Krishna is not controlled by these laws, and at the same time, those of us in this world, in the material, in the human form, who take the opportunity to try to turn back to Krishna, Krishna is encouraging us here and saying that it is quite possible to take shelter of his internal spiritual energy. The protection of the divine nature are the exact words. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. There is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. So we always come to the same conclusion, isn't it? And it always sounds very similar. But actually, all these great Mahatmas, all these great devotees of Krishna in this world, in the spiritual world, they're all very unique personalities. They do things in a very different way. It's not that you that you become limited by this way. On the other hand, all the limitations of this material existence can be removed. I was going to say can be easily removed, and they can be easily removed. Krishna can easily remove all the hindrances and problems. What may not be so easy is for us to turn our consciousness around, because here it's not just a trick or a method or a way of training the mind, but we see here it's about developing that attraction, that love, that relationship to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when that is there, everything else will become insignificant. That does not mean that such a person will become, cold and hard and elitistic. No, because when you see Krishna like that, you will see everything else in connection to Krishna. And that person will have such a deep humility and love that it will be very natural for him to reach out and care about other people. But on that level of spiritual realization, you will not be drawn back into this world of dualities, icha, dvesha, desires and hatred, heat and cold. There will still be summer and winter, but the soul is not affected when the soul is perfectly drawn to Krishna in this way. And those great souls, they are not just some rare spiritual persons far, far away. No, it's actually the natural position of the soul. It may take a while, but we're all welcome to come to that platform in this life. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare